Hi, and welcome to the Irish Museum of Modern Art. I'm Evie, and I'm part of the visitor engagement team. I'm here to share some time with you. I would like to invite you for this slow-looking session to find a comfortable and quiet place for the next few minutes. I'm really looking forward to engage with this artwork with you all, and so please don't hesitate to leave any comment that you would like to share. So this is the artwork we are going to slowly look at. Let's have a good look. From bottom to top, from right to left. Let's take some time to observe this artwork. Let's walk around it and observe it from the different angles. Taking the time to absorb the overall effect and maybe also look at some of the details. The size of it, the colors, the positioning. It is a sculptural work from German-born American artist Kiki Smith, now in her late 60s. She works in a very craft-oriented way. As she says, she likes the process of making. She is fascinated by how materials are made, and her inspiration stems as much from that as from any preconceived idea. We are not trying to understand the artwork at this stage, and there is absolutely no right or wrong reaction to it. Let's just take time to notice and enjoy all the visible elements of this work. What we see here is a figure sitting and closely hugging her knees, the head gently turned towards the wall. What do you think of the material used? Can you recognize what it is made of? It does look fragile. The translucent quality, the thinness, and fragile appearance. It looks like skin. It is actually papier-mâché from Indian handmade paper. It behaves like skin too, slowly drying out with age and becoming more diaphanous than the first time it was shown, for example, at IMMA in 1997 in the Convergence exhibition. This pale, almost translucent paper, a handmade paper that needs to be peeled from the frames by the artisans, like a skin, a thin envelope, a wrapping that contains and barely protects and creates the shape of a being. You could say most of Kiki Smith's work is about her experience as a woman. It is quite feminist. This is highlighted for me with the tones she uses in her artwork. There is a connection there, visual and emotional too. What does it feel like for you? For me, this artwork maybe refers to the core of being a woman, the femininity, the fragility, the delicacy, the softness. Kiki Smith calls her artworks talismans. They are symbolic and representative of her experiences. In that way, she's very different from her father, Tony Smith, the famous minimalist sculptor, despite his huge influence, quite seminal in her becoming an artist too. Does this artwork maybe symbolizes something for you? Some personal association, personal impression? If we look at her face, we can see two strings of paper pouring from her eye sockets that are linked to the booklets on the wall. What does it make you think of? The artwork is called Peacock, And we can see how this title might have emerged from the fanning on the display. What title would you give it? Kiki Smith, growing up as a Catholic, often uses and interrogates our cultural taboos, showing sexual, visceral, fluids, and all other bodily functions that are often cringed at in our Western culture. What do you think of the color Kiki Smith used? It is interesting that it is not pink or red as maybe we would expect. This blue is recognizable the world over, particularly in tribal markings. She used the same color that she discovered an ancient Celtic tribe used. The Picts warriors, men and women, would use woad to paint their bodies blue before battle. This connection made this artwork particularly appropriate to be part of the IMMA collection. See how the papers are attached to the main body, like dried up umbilical cords? There are 28 of them, like the lunar cycle, a kind of a diary maybe. The ink has faded since it was made in 1994, and the markings inscribed are getting fainter with age, pretty much like Kiki Smith's own tattoo. What could the artwork mean for you? Let's have a last look at the figure from the back this time. We discover here the same printed shape, and it is placed on the heart chakra, as she explained in 1997 at IMMA. She says, at the most vulnerable place where you get stabbed in the back. The blue is also maybe like water, like tears, the suffering of a woman. There's a delicacy and a calmness that inspires a protectiveness, an empathy for the human condition in general. This work was possibly made in reference to her sister who died from AIDS in 1987, even though she never referred to it at the time. But as she says, she's not trying to get anywhere, or for her work to mean anything in particular, or stand, represent any particular thing. She just lets the artwork develop and tries to follow its own impetus and its own meaning, then for each of us. What is the mood of the artwork for you? What words would you use to describe it? What does it make you think of? Any memories? How does the artwork feel for you? What emotions does it trigger? How will you remember this artwork? What elements will be staying with you? What connection? Kiki Smith's artworks are always very evocative, metaphysical almost, very spiritual. For me, maybe a woman observing her own fragility, vulnerability, taking stock of all the tears she has shed, how it shapes her connection to her environment, taking stock of her own fragile position, of time passing, of the beauty of the ephemeral, and how it nevertheless endures through the stimulation of emotion, an emotional memory. Kiki Smith explained, artists live in unknown spaces and give themselves over to following something unknown. So with her artworks, she's kind of inviting all of us to follow down our own secret garden. You can maybe try to sit and position yourself the same way. How would it make you feel? For me, it's vulnerability, softness, delicacy and calm. Not quite wisdom, rather an innocence. It actually reminds me there is a chain drawn around the midriff, like a chastity chain, as she mentioned when she was here. For Kiki Smith, artworks are a celebration of the here and now, which is very appropriate for this exhibition. So I hope you enjoyed this slow-looking moment together. I thank you very much for your attention, and please send us your comment. It's always fascinating to us to see how each of us respond to an artwork differently, and it's like adding layers of meaning or memories to the artwork, a little bit like the layers of skin. So thank you.